What's up, everybody? Bumlock here. Welcome back to part 2 of my Bumlock Breakdown series, where we're going to be talking about Heroic Kil'Jaeden. We got the kill yesterday. Thank you to everyone also, by the way, that tuned into my stream on Tuesday. I broke a record on my viewership. It was about 600 to 700 people, so thank you everyone who tuned into that. You guys are awesome. Anyway, so let's talk about Kil'Jaeden. We used less than 20 people for our first kill. 2 tanks, mixture of DPS, and 3 healers, okay? We also heroed in phase 2, which we'll talk about. And today we're just going to go through the strategy that we used. I'm going to be commentating through our kill, and I'm going to pause and point out different points of interest. That way you can kind of see what we did. It's not the cleanest kill in the world, but we did it. So I think it was like world 50 something. Anyways, so let's go and get started. All right, so let's go and take a look at the ground real quick. You can see on each corner of the room, we've marked 2 markers. The outside one represents basically where the singularity will drop. The inside one is sort of a safe point for when the singularity is in the middle. This also helps us for when we go into the shadow phase and we have to find Illidan. We use a combination of pinging the map and calling out a marker just for everybody's ease of use. So here we are pulling the boss. Right now we're just focusing on maximizing our damage. The first thing that comes up is Armageddon. We'll go ahead and pause out right when this Armageddon comes just to talk about it. So you can see there's quite a few swirlies on the ground with little fires coming out of them. The big fire coming out of them, the pillar of fire swirling out of them, indicates that there's not anyone standing in them. When someone's actually standing in it, the fire will go away and it will just be the player there. You can see that there's small ones and then there's a big one. The big one needs to be soaked by a tank or by someone with an immunity. For phase 1, I believe we have both of our tanks soak them, and then beyond there we're just immuning the rest of them. Okay, and this happens in phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, we'll go ahead and go. Okay, so you can see here, 1 person per soak. Now, when you do actually soak it, it does give you a pretty nasty dot, so you don't want to soak more than 1 in a row, and the dot lasts for about a minute, okay? Here we're getting the shadow reflection, just stacking up behind the boss, AoEing them down as quick as possible, but make sure just to kind of passively cleave them. With some good damage, some good passive cleave, you will be able to get them down pretty quickly. We are pushing here for a damage point to skip the next Armageddon. That way we don't have an Armageddon and then another Armageddon right after when we go to the phase 1 transition. So here we're pushing to hit 80% before the next Armageddon. That's really a damage point you should focus on in your group, in my opinion. Just makes the fight a little bit easier in phase 1. So here we have the singularity. You want to be around 82% here. And at this point, we'll go and pause right before it hits the ground. So the singularity, you want to make sure that no one's standing under it. Okay, and then you could use the floor right here. You have the little cross with the green triangles and the spears kind of pointing inwards. You can use those points, which is where we put the markers. You can use these points as indicators, as safe spots to stand. You want to make sure that you're getting on these points when the singularity is coming down. Otherwise, you might get knocked off the platform, just because there's a little bit more distance to the corners than there is to the edge. Okay, let's go. Okay, well, I'll get knocked back. I use my teleport just to reduce my downtime of being in the air. Although my damage right here doesn't matter. Right now he's flying around. We're in phase 1 transition. We first get an Armageddon, and right now it's not really important to damage the boss. It's really important just to pay attention to the mechanics, looking around the room to make sure that everyone's soaking. Right now I'm basically calling out, hey, make sure you get a soak. If you already soaked, you're not getting the next one. Okay. Then we have a singularity. We're just calling out which color it's pointed at. Here we get a Focused Dread Flame. We'll go and pause right quick. Focused Dread Flame is a cast that targets a single player with a giant arrow. The boss will then shoot a laser at them, and it needs to be soaked in the straight line. But you can't stack up because the every person that gets hit by the Focused Dread Flame will do like a little an AoE damage in 5 yards around them. So you want to make sure that you're staggered. Okay, basic range check of 5 yards will be fine. Now, if you don't do it perfect, it's okay. You know, it's not that much damage. You just want to make sure you don't have 4 to 5 people stacked up on each other. But having 1 person, you know, you can get away with that. Okay. So here again, I'm calling out. You know, if you already have a stack, don't soak. You want to reduce that damage. If they do take 2 stacks of Armageddon, they're going to be ticking for like 900,000 damage every second, which, unless they have a lot of self-healing, is not really viable. Okay, here we get Bursting Dreadflame, just a big circle AoE. You want to get these out so that way they don't multiply on each other. And here we're actually heroing when he lands, okay? Now the reason we're doing this is because we want to skip one of the scariest overlaps in this phase. We felt that this part was that overlap was a little bit harder for us than phase 3 was. So we decided to just push that point before getting an extra Armageddon. We wanted to avoid getting an Armageddon and having a second Bear Shadow to attack. So here, just stacking up behind the boss, just AoEing the ads, just like phase 1. Nothing too big here. Now here in phase 2, we actually get a couple nasty overlaps. There's only a couple scary ones. This first one, we just had the shadows. Now we have a focused Dreadflame. Just dealing with these exactly the same. Maximizing our uptime on the boss. Okay, we get our next Armageddon. This also comes with a Bursting Dreadflame, so you gotta kind of spread these out. And then we get the bear. So here, let's pause right quick. So this is actually the reason why we're heroing in phase 2, at the start of phase 2, is because we want to avoid the second one of these, okay? There's a nasty overlap. I think it's a bursting. It's a bursting Dreadflame. It's an Armageddon and this at the same time. I could be wrong about that, the bursting, but I'm almost positive it's very close to, it's an Armageddon and then this. It could be a singularity. I don't know. Anyways, it's dangerous. Obviously, people have done it. It's probably not that difficult. I'm sure we could do it. Just for us, when we were doing this, just for our raid group, because we were limited on healers, we felt it was a little bit easier just to skip this point. So you're gonna see us kill this one. We're popping our second pots here and burning this guy down as quick as possible, and then going on from there. So we'll go and start it. Alright, after this we get a Rupturing Singularity. Not too bad, but we do get a combination of the Focused Dreadflame as well. So just want to make sure that people are moving towards the Singularity while also soaking that Dreadflame, just so people don't get one shot, you know, not having someone... you want to make sure that someone's not standing off by on their own. So here, just damaging again. Next is going to be a combination of Bursting and a Singularity one more time. But for us, every single time at this point, the Singularity came down in the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm telling people to spread out and then collapse back in on the points, which is why we have the markers. The markers is basically a safe point. You can, you know, if you're past the marker on the corner, you might get knocked back. So if it's helpful to you, it's up to you. Next, we're going to get probably the hardest part of the fight, I would say. It's an Armageddon with the Shadow Reflection, which means that the amount of people that you have to go soak is limited. So at this point, I'm really calling out, hey, look around, you know, and then make sure, I'm just telling people to stand still. You can see on my screen, I have a weak aura that literally tells you exactly how long you have to stand there. While I'm doing this, I'm just reminding people to look at their weak aura, just because there can be some confusing points where there's other fire damage happening while also... the soak is happening, so some people might move out early. So a good thing to say is just, hey, look at your weak aura. So here we're pushing right now, trying to hit 40% before this next Armageddon. So here it was a Spanning Singularity and a Bursting, and what was going to happen next is the Armageddon plus the next bear. So this is what we're doing. We're skipping that point. So at this point, we're just spreading out. We're looking for Illidan. What we're doing is, if we find him, we're just calling out the color that he's near and just pinging the map. And then we're telling everyone to collapse from there. We don't really move from this area too much. We were utilizing our DKs to grip them in when we had them. But really, just make sure that you're staying in here as close as possible. In order to get the vision, you need to step into the pool. You'll see underneath his feet, there's like a green swirly there. You'll go ahead and just step into the pool. You'll get like a 20-second debuff. It will do damage to you, so you don't want to stay in the pool. You just want to grab it when you need it. And sometimes it's hard to find Illidan again once you're actually in that point. But just get the vision. There's weak auras that you can track this stuff if you need to, and just kill all the ads. At this point, we're stacking up behind the boss. He's going to do a Darkness of 1,000 Souls. There's nothing you can really do about this except for we're actually popping a Darkness and a Spirit Link Totem right here, just to kind of split the damage. And here we go on into phase 3. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm calling out the Rift. You can see the Rift is spawning by Skull. on the left-hand side. So what I'm saying is I'm telling the raid to move towards the rift. The idea is that we move towards the rift. We're spawning the fireball, okay, towards the flaming orb, rather. We're spawning it towards the rift. Everyone then moves away from the flaming orb, and our assigned kite person takes it and drops it inside the rift. What we're trying to do, actually, is immune every single one. So use both of our hunters and then our demon hunters, just so that we can reduce the damage of that. But here you're just dealing with focused dread flame and the bursting dread flame, along with these other mechanics. It does get kind of annoying because that rift is pulling you in basically the entire time, so it's kind of like the Eye of Ashara boss Serpent Tricks. Well, not that his mechanic, but once you kill enough bosses in there, you kind of get that debuff. Again, moving the raid towards the rift, then when the flame orb spawns, moving it away, and then back towards the rift when we have the Darkness of 1,000 Souls casting. The idea to this is he's going to do his Darkness of 1,000 Souls. Obviously, we don't have enough cooldowns to just stack up and take the damage. So the trick is that when he finishes his cast, that you jump into the rift, and you'll see all the bolts of damage get sucked in by the rift versus hitting us. So here we're just waiting in. We have weak auras tracking this too. I'm telling people just to wait, just wait, and then we're going to go in at about 2 to 1 seconds. Here I'm telling people to go in, and we just stay here until all the bolts fly past us, and then we step out. Now you don't want to stay in there too long, because you will take a stacking debuff of damage, so just stay in there as little as you can. Okay, here we go. We have our second rift. Moving the raid towards the right. I'm just calling out, hey, move the raid towards the right. We're also watching for the obelisks, of course. What I tell people is just imagine that you're playing Bomberman. Just be diagonal to them. You know, they're going to shoot out like a cross. So, you know, use your brain to figure out where a safe point is going to be. Okay. Again, it works just like Bomberman. So, the flame orb spawned. We ran away from it while also adjusting to the obelisks. And then now we're moving. You can see our tanks are moving the boss slowly back towards it. We're trying to, again, bait the flame orb spawn. That way the distance that you know, we can guarantee that the fire is going to at least be close to the rift as possible. Here we go, the flame orb. Kind of unfortunate that it spawned in the middle, but that's okay. Again, we're just moving back away from the flame orb, letting our kiter take it, spreading out with these bursting dread flames. Try not to kill each other. And there we go. We take it right into the rift again, and now moving the rift, moving the boss back towards the rift as he is about to do his second, or third rather, Darkness of 1,000 Souls. We get a focused dread flame here, just soaking that, no big deal. He'll go ahead and move to the middle, and he'll start casting again. Again, just be on the edge of it. Don't go in it too early. Here we have our priest actually kill themselves on purpose, just so we can get some final healing. He does have the cloak to res himself, so no big deal there. Here we're standing in the rift. All the bolts fly past us, and we get out. Okay, we did use a Spirit Link Totem there just to kind of reduce the damage. At this point, we're just standing and burning. There's nothing really happening at this point. I think we get a Flame Orb, but from 200 million down to the very end, we can go ahead and just stand here and burn. So, Phase 3 isn't really that difficult, which is why we decided to hero in Phase 2, just to skip that scary overlap. So if you're having problems with that point in Phase 2, I suggest maybe seeing what you can do about heroing in Phase 2 and just learning how to do Phase 3. If you can do the simple mechanics happening in Phase 3, you can do this as long as you need to. And there we go. We get the kill. Now, unfortunately for us, I guess there's some sort of bug where there isn't actually loot from the boss, so we all put a ticket in to try and rectify that. But there it is, guys. There's the kill. Thank you so much for watching. I will be doing normal and heroic guides to every other boss too. I just felt this one was the most important to get out quickly. So for anyone still working on the other heroic versions, maybe you're still on normal or whatever your situation is, I'll be putting out guides to every single boss in the next coming weeks. This is the one that we just focused on getting as soon as possible. So, and I want to get this guide out as soon as possible as well. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Again, a special thank you to everyone who tuned into my stream while we were progressing through this stuff. We actually managed to get 7 of 8 of the bosses. We actually got world first. He'Jaeden all the way through Desolate Host. We actually got world first on a heroic mode. We did get world second on the Fallen Avatar. And this is all in WoW progress as well. We did get world second on Fallen Avatar, and then we took some time on Kil'Jaeden. It was pretty tough. So we got like world 57 or 47th or 50th. I don't know. It's on WoW progress, but I'll go and link that below as well. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for the next videos in my Bumlock Breakdown series. I will be doing again all the normal heroic bosses, including not just this one, as well as the mythic version. So make sure to watch out for that. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.